I come from a large family. Every summer we go to Bethany Beach, Delaware for vacation. It's the best week of the year. More than 50 Sheas are gathered. One of my favorite things to do each year is to grab some of my great nieces and great nephews and play with them. One year, I set up a race with 3 of them where the final leg of the race called for each of us to do a belly flop in the ocean. As you can see, they had better sense than me when the waves were receding as we approached. But I went for it, and I won the race without suffering any injuries. I don't think any picture describes me better than this. I chalked what I did that day up to a phrase that has described my decision-making in the past. It seemed like a good idea at the time. This phrase is often used to answer questions that my wife has to give to me, like, where did those grass stains come from? Or why are there so many freezer bags full of ziti from your poker game last night? But I've reclaimed it as a positive, to knock down obstacles, push beyond my comfort zone, and create great memories. I'd never been on stage until the fall of 2009, when George Matthew, who was children's director here at the Guthrie, asked me to play a part in Hanover High School's production of Miracle on 34th Street. They needed adults to fill it out because it's a large cast. I told him I couldn't do it, I've never done it, but he persisted, and I eventually gave in, and that's how I came to play Mr. Macy in the show. I got over my initial concerns and realized I loved this. I realized I got the attention I so desperately craved by being on stage. But I also really learned about how a show comes together and how people pull together. I'm a process nerd, and it filled that part of me. So I went to the Hanover Little Theater, auditioned for another show, and got the part. And then another one, and then they asked me to work backstage, and then they asked me to be on the board, and then I was president of the board, and then I directed a show. And all of a sudden in my 40s, I was a theater guy at the blink of an eye. But when I was doing all that, I was not very handy, but I learned how to build sets. I learned how to run the lights. I parked cars badly. And I also helped develop a program that donated money to nonprofits like the Guthrie. But I also had something else I wanted to do as I was doing all this at HLT, improv comedy. I saw my first improv show in 2010 while on a work trip to Los Angeles. I promptly signed up for a newsletter for an improv theater in Baltimore and then ignored their emails for 4 years. In 2014, a group from Pittsburgh came through Hanover, and I went and saw the show, and I was more experienced on stage then and realized I needed to do this. I took my first class in January 2015 and barely stopped improvising since. I've performed in Baltimore, in Hanover, in Lancaster, in Harrisburg, in New York City, and in the Poconos at an adult summer camp for improvisers. In my first improv class, there was one person who kept asking the instructor why we were doing things. And the questions didn't seem to come from curiosity, but from mistrust. And the instructor got frustrated, and that person never came back again. The more I get into my improv journey, the more I think of that day. Improv has taught me that you don't always need to ask why. Improv's taught me the unknown can create magical moments. Improv has taught me that anybody can be a superhero that when they want to be, like I was in this improvised superhero movie in 2019. Anything is possible when you don't need to follow a script. I truly believe everybody has improv magic inside of them. After all, we improvise our way through our days all the time. Because of improv, I'm a better communicator in so many different ways. Not everyone might want to spend as much time as I do on stage, but everyone should take some time to reach that inner child. Improv isn't just for performers, it's for everybody. That belief is one of the reasons that I co-founded Highwire Improv in 2020 with 3 friends. With so much of the world in turmoil that year, we looked around and realized we had a vision we wanted to make a reality. So we started a theater, first online, and now we produce shows all over the Baltimore area. We've started classes and corporate training. And we've even brought some shows up here to Hanover at Fat Bat Brewing. With Highwire, we've helped activate the creativity of so many people by putting power in the hands of performers. We cater to independent artists. We produce online content 3 days a week still. We bring together performers from around the world, like the British American Experience, a show I'm in monthly with a cast of both British and American improvisers. My improv experiences give me the courage to follow so many other dreams. Earlier this year, I produced a sketch comedy show in New York. More than a dozen friends, all of whom I met through improv or theater, came together, asked me what they could do, and helped me put on the show. I, of course, named the show Seemed Like a Good Idea at the time. But it's not just about me. What's your seemed like a good idea at the time moment? Is there something that intrigues you, but it also gives you pause? Do you think that maybe someone else is better suited for something you haven't done before because they have done it? I want to assure you, there isn't a set of rules and regulations for you to live your best life. I didn't ask to lie on that table. It just seemed like the right thing to do at the time in that show. I've never had a certification to get on stage. I just followed the fun. They even let me get up here and talk about improv, which anyone who's been in that conversation would definitely warn against. In an improv class 6 years ago, I wasn't paying attention, and my teacher said, "What did someone just say to you?" And I couldn't, because I was trying to think of something funny to say. Listen to what he says and respond was the advice I got. Improv isn't about thinking fast or being funny. It's about being present and listening. We all benefit when we do that. A simple request to help out a play 14 years ago changed my life, because I just did it. Over the next 5 days, I'll spend between 15 and 20 hours performing, coaching, or watching improv. And that definitely sounds like a good idea to me. Go find your good idea. You won't regret it.